So in this video, I want to do a deep dive into the questions that you've all asked about my latest film, Trails of Dust, which just hit 50,000 views on YouTube. Thank you very much. I'm doing this from the beaches of Australia. I got up early here and tried to not kill myself while driving on the left side of the road. Shoot, a roundabout. All right, didn't die. But I'm going over some of the technical, how I pitched this, even showing you a bit of this PDF that I used to talk to DJI about the project, and going through post-production and all the little details along the way of what goes into a short documentary like this. And I really appreciate all the questions all of you asked. It was so refreshing to get so many focused on story and filmmaking and less about the technical and just camera specs. So let's get into this Q&A about Trails of Dust. As a morning person myself, I'm in love with the Central Coast here in Australia because everyone is awake and everyone is running. I've never seen so many people awake at 5:30 in the morning. Sorry for the noise. I'll try and find somewhere quieter soon. But, oh my gosh. I mean, I can't do it just yet though. I gotta show you the sunset. Well, let's get into our first question. Could you reflect on the focal lengths used? There was a few scenes where maybe it wasn't the standard length that most people would gravitate towards, but it helped tell the story. There's no hard and fast rules, but I'll just say this quickly. Wide is close, lens is far. Lens is far, long is far. But let's break this down because there's obviously exceptions to this. When I typically want to establish emotion of a character, I will use a long lens. This is because a long lens compresses depth, it blurs out the background, and it helps me focus on one select area. So when I wanted to be on the tight of Braxton's eyes, when he was just talking about losing his cousin Tanner, wanted to be on a long lens. But when I wanted to show him whipping around the garage and I want to accentuate that movement, really make it seem chaotic, I want to be on a wide lens. So for me, it's not just the motion that I'm choosing my lens for. I'm also looking at the emotion. A wide lens will show you the room, the volume, and your character's relation to that space. But I find if I want to get in close and begin to show those emotions, I want to be on a tighter lens. General principle, not a rule. All right, kind of want to go see the other parts of this beach besides this bush. I'm in a lagoon. I'm always afraid to set anywhere in Australia because a scorpion or a spider will come out. All right, next question. How did you get the color to look like this? Well, 2 words, actually I think 5. Cassie Bellamy, Darling, Post and VFX. An amazing team there. Cassie was the one who did the color on this. She absolutely crushed it. She took my notes and took it to a place that I never dreamed possible and made this 4D look amazing. Not only did Cassie do the traditional things of course adding grain and some halation, but she was able to take the colors and push them into an ethereal world without it feeling goofy or unrealistic. There was rich colors in the sky that she was able to pull out, but my favorite thing that she did a ton of sky replacements. What we mean by this is where there's just a blank sky that has no clouds in it, she began adding texture to that. She would add subtle backgrounds of clouds in there, just so that it wasn't just a one big blank canvas. It adds another layer of visual interest. Cassie absolutely crushed this. I want to use her on all my next projects. So a couple more questions came in since I was at the beach. Now I'm at a lagoon. One of them is, how did you light this? And besides the studio, when we lit that with a couple aperture lights, including skirting off a big dome light, we used no lights. Of course, when we were out in Caneville, it's too big of a space to light. The tip I want to give you about that, you might have heard me talk about this before, is the cinematographer's fist, as I call it. You have to hold this in the air in front of you and move around, and you will begin to see shadows changing. And no matter where you are in the world, there will always be one side of your subject that is truly backlit. Even if the sun feels like it's directly above, it's almost always going to be on a slight angle. So due to our scheduling with this film, we couldn't always shoot at sunset. I was actually a bit nervous with this, that I traveled all this way to Utah and I had to shoot in the middle of the day for the majority of the footage. But I'm really pleased with the way it turned out, with us really focusing on even just waiting an hour or two until it was maybe like 2 or 3 p.m. and the sun was just slightly behind our character. You can see that really big epic shot that so many of you liked at 4:50 52 of the film, where Braxton comes up the hill and comes down towards camera. That's like the middle of the day. The sun is so high, but when you pick an angle and you bring the camera low, you're still getting the impact of backlighting, and we are still able to achieve flares. And honestly too, sometimes you just gotta embrace the lighting you have. Make the camera movements dynamic and embrace the flat lighting. If your camera's moving and your story is interesting, sometimes the lighting can come secondary. Did a YouTuber just say that? This next question is a bit of a longer one. I was just wondering, from a filmmaking curiosity point of view, why the big jump was in the middle of the film, around 3:45, with a fairly light score, and not built up to a more triumphant ending with a bigger musical score closer to the end. I think that's just it. It was different. Oh, I got a smudge. When working with the score from MusicBed on this film, we wanted songs that weren't drawing too much attention to themselves. And for Braxton, this moment of him going over the jump was less than some big epic stunt, and it was more of a meditation of him reflecting on the life of his cousin. I didn't want this just to be some daredevil film about a guy ripping over a jump. I wanted it to be about confronting fear and how this kind of strange thing as humans, where we have to return back to a location to remember people, that just the memories and the thoughts aren't enough. So for the musical score, it needed to reflect that. It needed to feel ethereal, like we were inside his mind. And I find kind of some of the music libraries out there, or some of the songs that people choose, are just too epic, too triumphant, draw too much attention to themselves. And this is where you want to use music that's a bit more mature. And you often get this from film composers. For me as a filmmaker, I want people to forget they're watching a movie. What a lot of comments people left was, wow, that 6 minutes flew by. And I think if you're always punching people in the face with your score, it can be annoying. It reminds you that you're watching a film. MusicBed has somewhere around 40,000 songs handpicked and curated by the filmmaking team that they have at MusicBed. Their library has always been the easiest to work with for our films. So perhaps you want to try MusicBed yourself for one of your upcoming films. I threw my coupon code below. You can sign up for a free account and also get 1 month free with an annual subscription. Australia, if you don't like something, it's yeah, nah. But if you do like something, it's nah, yeah. Bit confusing, if you ask me. How did you come across this story? My bro Nick Dean hooked me up. So when DJI approached me to shoot a doc, I began calling different people I knew who have access to different communities. And Nick, he has an incredible Instagram with so much automotive and vehicle and car footage that I thought Nick might know some people that not only do cool stuff on a motorbike or in a car, but that there would be a deeper layer to the story. So Nick and I began chatting, and I invited him to come onto this project to help produce and DP. And that's when we spoke for a couple hours on the phone, and we just threw out different names, and eventually we came to Braxton. When I got on the Zoom call with Braxton and started asking about his life and if there was anything that had more significance in his motorbike career, he talked about this place in Utah. And that's when I realized there was another layer. Whenever you're making a film, you need a physical journey. Someone needs a desire. They need to have a goal. But then you need the emotional layer. You can't just make a film about people going and doing cool stuff. You can, but it's forgettable. It won't move people. There needs to be the existential, the emotional journey. And when Braxton mentioned that there was this one jump where tragically his cousin passed away, that Braxton wants to go back and actually do that jump himself and put it to rest, this for me is the beginning of a doc story. My mouth is so dry right now. Next question. Boring. As in digging underground? How did you get the job? How did you approach the story? How did you prep for it? Well, DJI approached me to do a video about the Flex, that new option on their camera where you can actually pull the camera head off and have the cable attached. And they said, hey, can you do a video for this? For me, I have 3 pillars in my career. I have my directing career, I have my YouTube, and we have Art of Documentary, our film academy. And anytime I say yes to something, I try to make sure it can at least work with 2 of those pillars. So when they said, could you do a video about it? That would be YouTube, but that wouldn't help my directing career or Art of Documentary. So this is when I decided, and I pitched them, I will do it, but I have to make a film from it. And they love that idea, and they're awesome to work with. Stu from DJI is just the coolest guy. And in order to get DJI on board, I had this PDF here. I had my whole pitch package. If you want to see more about that, we talk about that in Art of Documentary. I break that all down, how to do a pitch package, how to show clients your story, how to convince them for documentaries, because I know a lot of us don't want to just do advertisements. We actually want to make documentary films. This is gonna be my last question I'm gonna answer walking. I'm like a big runner, but just walking on the sand and talking and holding this, it's tiring me out.
You're a fraud!
How did filming this challenge you as a creative, either in your skill or storytelling? I think the challenge always with YouTube is there's a necessity of having to gather behind the scenes, but then at the same time, I need to be directing a film. So having those two concerns always going on in my mind is a bit bothersome, but I had amazing BTS people like Bentley Raleigh who just shot the hell out of it. So that was helpful. That said, the most challenging thing on this creatively was the budget. It was so friggin' tight. I went over budget on this. We barely had any money. Everyone came out on reduced rates, but it was trying to get this whole story in just that 2-day period when I wish I would have just had more time. I don't like to rush on set. I like to take my time. I like to plan things out. But in this case, we just didn't have much time. So luckily, when we've done films like Kill or Be Killed or our most recent one, The Prodigy, we shoot these films in like 24 hours. So I know how to move quickly, but trying to make sure you get the emotion and not just the action in that short amount of time can be the most stressful thing. How much equipment cleaning during filming? The most. It wasn't even just about cleaning it during filming. It's that it's over a year ago or almost a year ago since I filmed this, and I'm still cleaning dust out of all my camera bags. Well, thank you for watching this. Thank you, Australia, for having some palm trees, but then also like pine trees over here. Make up your mind. Are you tropical? What are you, Australia? I'm gonna go back to bed. I've been awake since 5. Why do you care about that? Why do I tell that to my YouTube audience? You guys don't need to know my circadian rhythm, but thank you for watching. I hate goodbyes. I'll see you in the next one. You banger, hang a banger, you banger. That's what they call U-turns here. Ugh, Australian accents are my favorite to imitate, perhaps mock. What other Aussie things do I know? Oh, hectic. Oh, mate, that's hectic. Oh, brew, hectic. Oh no, brew. Is that New Zealand? Who knows?